I think I might know the answer to this, but it'll be interesting to get everyone's opinion. Our next subscriber wants to know, which current Democratic candidate is your least favorite and why?
Oh, there's so many to choose from.
There's so many to choose from.
I think we each have to give an answer to this. Andrew,
okay.
start with you.
Well, I have to say that even though Bernie Sanders actually gets stars for me for being sincere, to be a sincere communist is not actually a good thing. And this guy, not only has he done nothing his entire life, but he has ascribed loyally to a policy that has failed again and again in front of him, and he has not changed at all. I mean, he's visited Cuba, he's visited the Soviet Union. He sang, I was joking on my show that he sang this, he went to the Soviet Union and sang, "This land is your land, this land is my land, and so is Poland." And because I think there is something, it's not evil, it's something fundamentally wrong, and maybe wicked is the right word, to keep being attached to a philosophy that has done so much terrible damage in this world. And he's not a socialist, he's a communist.
Of course.
And he has basically shown loyalty to communist regimes in every country where they've arisen. And it doesn't matter to him that the people die. He's obviously living in a theoretical universe. I think there's something wrong with the guy. And so...
By the way, the proof of your contention is that he's endorsed by Linda Sarsour and Ilhan, right?
There you go, there you go. And
He's the wrongest.
I think that he is the worst as an actual real-life human being in the world.
Michael.
Pete Buttigieg is my least favorite. I can't stand him. He is such an obvious jerk. At least Bernie Sanders is honest about what he believes. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren is not honest about many things, but she's always been a left-winger, at least, you could say, not nearly as radical as she is now. Julian Castro is hilarious in his radicalism. I get a huge kick out of his candidacy. Yeah. Only Pete Buttigieg blows in the wind. So one day he's the moderate candidate trying to get Biden's votes. The next day he's this radical trying to get the Bernie votes. And he's so incredibly judgmental. He's so incredibly moralizing.
The Pastor Pete crap is unbelievable.
His whole candidacy is about telling Christians that they're not really Christians and telling,
Tell me more, Captain Abortion on Demand.
Exactly. It's so outrageous and disingenuous. He drives me up a wall.
Okay, I have to because it's true. Elizabeth Warren is the worst. Okay, Elizabeth Warren. Also, I have a personal stake in Elizabeth Warren being the worst, meaning she's the only one of these candidates I've ever actually met.
Just don't
right?
like
I met, when I was having lunch in Santa Monica with Elizabeth Warren, but I actually have met Elizabeth Warren. And there was a point in time where Elizabeth Warren was an actual interesting human being. Like back in 2004 when she was recruiting for Harvard Law School, it was right after she'd written The Two-Income Trap. And obviously, she was a committed leftist. I mean, there was no question she was a committed leftist. The only conversation I ever had with her, she started ripping on Rush Limbaugh, like, right away. But she had some kind of interesting ideas. She was in favor of school choice at that point. If there's one thing that I can't stand, I think the vast majority of Americans cannot stand, you've cited Sanders' sincerity as both an asset and as a detriment. She is the least sincere candidate in this race, and it is not close, because she does not believe a single thing that she is saying right now. Every story that she has ever told, apparently, is a shading of the truth at best, from I'm the first lactating mother to sit for the New Jersey bar, which is obvious nonsense, to I was fired for being pregnant, which is also apparently nonsense, to I'm a Native American because I have high cheekbones and I write a recipe that I crib from like Harper's Bazaar for Pow Wow Chow, to I am now in favor of getting rid of, I hate charter schools, they need to go, they need to be abolished. She was for school choice 5 seconds ago, right? I love free markets, but billionaires should not exist, right? Billionaires' tears, I will drink them. She's so utterly dishonest, and the cynicism of somebody who's not even, you can't even blame her embrace of immoral positions on stupidity. Like Sanders, you can blame it on the fact that he's a delusional old coot, and he's been delusional his entire life. This is not delusion. This is calculated. And when you are a calculated advocate for positions you don't even believe, but you are willing to make the country worse in order to achieve your own personal power, I think this makes you the worst person in the race.
Well, I was going to say Pete Buttigieg, but since Michael already did, I'll just give you guys the process by which I arrived at the people that I hate. In the beginning, I hated Kamala Harris the most because she's the one that I actually fear. Like, I don't fear Bernie Sanders because I think he would be so ineffectual at being president because communists are terrible at everything, and Bernie's never accomplished a damn thing in his entire life. And Elizabeth Warren, I actually think that she certainly poses as a major leftist right now, and everything you say, Ben, about how insincere and dishonest she is, of course, is true. But I actually suspect that if she were to be elected president, she would not functionally be the radical that she presents as right now. I think that's all calculated. It would still be terrible, but it would not be what it appears to be today. Kamala Harris scared me because she openly talks about just putting people who disagree with her in jail. And she got a lot of experience in putting people in jail. And the guys who run her campaign go on Twitter all the time and say, we wouldn't stand for that if Kamala Harris was president. We'd lock all of you up. And I think, well, that's actual fascism. I don't think that's good. But then I realized she didn't stand a chance of winning and she wasn't affecting the national conversation in any way. And at that point, I moved to Buttigieg, but a close second for me is Beto. And the reason is race demagoguery is the worst thing for this country. I said before that I think it's unfair to say that America's original sin is slavery and not Great Britain's just because there's a 20-year gap 150 years ago. Nevertheless, race is functionally the most detrimental thing to the culture of America. It's the thing that rips us apart the most, that's leveraged by the left in order to rip us apart the most. And what I hate about Beto O'Rourke is that when he was down and he should have been out, instead of recognizing that he didn't stand a chance, he picked up the race issue and the guns issue and demagogued in a way that...
And the religious liberty issue, right?
The religious liberty issue. And he basically reinforced all of the worst arguments against American liberty that exist. And for that, I think there's a special place in, I guess Arizona. I don't know.
He'll be eating dirt forever there.
Forever, yeah.
Eternal Arizona fire.
Oh, you're still here, which means you're either a lonely Media Matters employee or you enjoyed today's episode. Well, that like button ain't gonna press itself, so drop us a like and keep the haters hating.